There we go. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the White Sands Self-Care Community. I am your host and resource for self-care, Laura Cross, and also your connections and collaborations. And today, I am so excited to have with me Brandi Van. She's an accomplished spiritual medium, a psychic development mentor, and a beacon of light for highly sensitive individuals seeking their higher purpose. Brandi, thank you for joining me today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to see you again.
That's because you guys would say it's been a minute, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's great to see you again. Brandi, can you share with us your personal journey into becoming a spiritual medium and a psychic development mentor?
sure. So, I knew I was psychic from a very young age. I was probably like 10 or 12, and I just had spirits. They were talking to me, but it was in my head, but it was my voice, but not my thought. So I was thinking I just didn't understand it when I was young. Like, am I crazy? Like, if I tell someone about this, are they gonna think I'm crazy? Are they gonna think I'm making this up? So I really just ignored it for years and didn't really tell anyone. I was just like kind of in the spiritual closet of like didn't want to let anyone know until I was in my 20s and I had a very profound spiritual experience that like I just couldn't ignore it anymore. So what happened was, my family was all around my grandma. We were in her hospice room as she was taking her last breath. And as she did, I literally felt in my gut, I felt her spirit rise above the bed. And I looked up above the bed and I saw like the most like brilliant, magnificent colors. Like, I don't even think they exist in our universe. Like, it was so amazing. And they were forming a star and they were beating in and out like a heartbeat. And in that moment, I just knew, don't know how I knew, but I just felt and knew that, her deceased loved ones who had crossed over were there to welcome her to the spirit world. I knew that she was going to this new amazing place and that she was at peace. And my view of death changed in that moment. Like, I just knew that there was something further that she was going on to, and I knew she was at peace. And I also knew that she wanted me to see that. So I actually left the room because it was so profound. And my cousins came out and they were like, oh, they thought it was like too sad of a situation for me to handle. And it took me years to tell them, like, no, I was actually having this like amazing experience. So once that happened, I decided to go on my spiritual journey to, really dive into my psychic abilities, because at that point I wasn't afraid of them anymore. I saw that they were like beautiful and amazing. And I noticed that there was nothing out there to like help you develop your abilities. So I was like reading a lot of books, watching TV shows, listening to podcasts, but like nothing was developing my ability. And so it took me years actually to find a mentor. And once I found her, I only worked with her maybe like 1 hour a month for 6 months. And then my abilities just skyrocketed. So she gave me the exact exercises I needed to know what to do to develop my psychic muscle, which is basically your mind's eye, the one that you use your imagination with. And then I was able to do mediumship readings. I was able to call spirits on demand. I could also do the opposite and set a boundary if I didn't want them to talk to me, which was great. So yeah, I had total control and like had developed it. And so I did mediumship readings for years. And then I was like, you know what? Like, it's great that I can do a mediumship reading. I can give that comfort and healing to someone, but I would love to create other people that can do that. So now I've created this 90-day mentorship program where I teach people. It's way more extensive than what my mentor taught me because I also put all of my knowledge into it. But yeah, basically the A to Z steps of what you need to develop it, because it just seems like there's a lot of like one-off classes out there that are like, you're doing a self-study, you don't have anybody to ask questions to, but this is way more extensive and will really get people to be able to develop them. And instead of just one piece of the puzzle, it's the entire puzzle that they need. So yeah, it's like my passion now. I absolutely love it.
I was to say that had to be a challenge because there's normally quite the stigma around, psychics and spiritual mediums. So, I mean, did you find it fairly challenging, or is that what your goal is to help other people so that they don't feel, I don't even know the right words for it, but because a lot of people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I spoke with a family member not too long ago because I was wondering if they happened to see someone and they looked at me, they're like, They were afraid to even mention that they had because they're worried about the way people will look at them or judge them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was like that at the beginning of my journey, like I said, but now I want to be like the spokesperson to get all of the light workers to come out of their spiritual closets, because I feel like, if we can bring more attention to it, if we can get more people talking about it, it won't be as taboo. And for the naysayers out there, I just feel like there's way too many people that talk about their experiences and have these gifts that how could it possibly be not true, right? And nobody can tell me what I'm experiencing, just like I can't tell you what you're experiencing. So I feel like if people, the more they talk about it, we could all have this like journey together to get even more people to talk about it. So for me, yeah, it's I feel like now the challenge is within myself. It's more getting myself to trust myself. That's where it was at the beginning. And so that's a big thing that clients have as well, is trusting themselves to believe in the message that they're receiving. And so yeah, I want to help people trust themselves, trust the message, and talk about it. Absolutely.
Or maybe even discover it for themselves, or figure it out. Like you said, you went through that phase where you weren't sure exactly what was going on and afraid to talk to somebody about it. But, there could be people out there probably experiencing things that maybe they're not sure, and they don't know how to put a name on it, or how
Yeah.
to figure out what it is.
Yeah, and
How do
that's
you
really the first step, is because if you don't know what a psychic experience is, you don't know if you're having them. So I actually have on my website, brandyvan.com, if they go and sign up for my newsletter list, I have a fun quiz for everyone to take. And it's basically showing you what a psychic experience is. And then it's also divided into the different types of psychics. So not only will you get to see what a psychic experience is that you're most likely having and just think it's an everyday human experience when it's actually a psychic one, but then it will also tell you what type of psychic you are based on those experiences. I think that's really the first step, because if you don't know what one is, then you don't realize that we all have these gifts.
Yeah, and you have to take all the negative stereotypes and media stuff out of your head, when you do it. But, and I know, and I think you recently updated that quiz, right?
Yes, yeah, I
Yeah.
added a couple more topics because there's so many out there. I'm sorry, I added a couple more types of psychics that I added to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you had sent that to me, and it was funny. The one that resonated the most with me was the empathic, one. And I have connected with a lot of people that are very, that are empaths and very empathic. And a lot of us get told the same thing. We're too sensitive, we're too this, but
Yeah.
there's reasons we know we are that way, and
Yeah, absolutely.
it's okay to be that way. We don't always have to have a thicker skin.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
how do you manage to balance the psychic ability with your everyday personal life activities? And is
Yeah,
it
so
challenging?
I think a lot of people think that too. I think they think once they turn it on, like they can't turn it off. But that's part of developing it as well, so that you can turn it off. So, if I were like talking, because I am a medium, I can talk to deceased loved ones. But if dead people came to me all day, like, and I couldn't turn that off, I would not be able to have an everyday human experience. I wouldn't be able to like cook or clean or have a job. So, you absolutely can turn it off. And it's just like anything else. It's letting spirit know, like, these are my open hours and these are my closed hours, just like you would do with a normal client who's alive. But for me,
Right.
these happen to be dead people. And I have to let them know like when I'm open and closed. So you can decide when you're having the experiences versus the experiences just happening to you when they feel like it.
Yeah, that's got to be amazing. When you say see dead people, it just reminds me of the movie,
Oh yeah.
the
Sixth Sense,
Sixth
yeah.
Sense. I see dead people.
Yeah.
That's just, like I said, media, movies, whatever. We've all had it thrown at
Yep.
us and stuff. So can you shed some light on how highly sensitive individuals can discover their unique psychic gifts and find their higher purpose?
Yeah, so that's a big question. So the biggest thing I can tell them is to really tap into their intuition, because that's where all of the knowledge is. So your intuition is that gut feeling inside of you. And the way to explain it is actually the opposite of how many times have you been like, I knew I shouldn't have done that, or I knew I should have listened to myself, and you didn't. And then something, that you didn't want to have happen happened. So it's getting yourself to really tune into that. And listening to your intuition is a 4-step process. So the first one is you got to ask it a question, because if you don't ask it a question, you won't get an answer. The second step is you need to feel the answer somewhere in your body. So whether it's your stomach, your heart, or just like an overall tingly feeling or whatever it might be in your body, everyone might be a little bit different. But you want to listen to it. I'm sorry, you want to feel the answer, and it comes within 4 seconds. By that fifth second, your mind will get in the way and start thinking of the answer and start doubting you on what your intuition just said. So it's really instantaneous, and you just got to trust it. And that's the third step, is to trust it. And then the last step is to act on it, because if you don't act on it, then like, why did you ask it anything anyway?
That's true on so many levels with so many things too. It's like, didn't want to know, don't ask.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Yeah, I would say probably the closest I've ever come to that was, making that move from Colorado down to here. It was a move that was not done by the military. I had something I had to do on my own. And the best way I could explain it to my fiance is I just knew in my heart of hearts, it was time to go. We needed an environment change. We needed to move. Didn't have everything laid out. I had, an action plan for an action plan and a backup plan. And, but it was really truly a winging it kind of a thing. And we couldn't be happier. I mean,
That's great.
It all came together. And so, yeah, really happy I followed that.
Yeah, I love hearing that. I love hearing that you listened to yourself and you went for it. That's exactly what people need to do. It's always going to lead you to your higher purpose or to the best decision. So that's why you want to listen to it, because it's basically like your way of authentically living. And so a lot of times your thoughts can get in the way of that, your fears or your limited beliefs. So if you can just feel it and go for it, yeah, it's always going to lead you to the right path.
Yeah. Or if you're surrounded by a bunch of naysayers that, look at you and you're afraid of being ridiculed, it's like, yeah, okay, you know what? You got to get to the point where I don't care. I need to, need to be open and explore what I want to explore.
Yeah. It's your journey, right? Just like everyone else has their journey. This is your own journey. And so, it doesn't matter if they approve of it or not, right? So you got to approve of yourself and live the most authentic life you can.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful that you got to that stage, because that had to be something that had to be a strange feeling, especially like you said, when you were like about 11 or something. And I know of another person too that knew it and can remember things like back from like birth or one. And it just seems so hard to wrap your head around. But I think we get in our own way because we always want to try and explain everything. And sometimes you just can't explain it. You just have to go with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, a lot of people that like when they have it when they're younger, if your parents are really open to it, or if they're very open-minded, you might have a different experience. But mine was, they didn't believe in that type of thing and nobody talked about it. But then once I became a mentor and they all knew it, then my mom's side of the family all started saying that they have these abilities. And I'm like my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, even my own mom. And I'm like, I went all these years thinking I was alone because nobody talked about it. And now, like, that's why I want to talk about it more and more so that somebody else doesn't have to go through that.
Yeah, which is, I think, a lot of the era and stuff that a lot of us were brought up in, certain things like that you just didn't talk about. You kept to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Afraid of consequences or ridicule or just pretty much fear, however you want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So the best way is my website, brandyvan.com. I would love, even if they just need like a like-minded individual, someone that won't judge them. Like, it's definitely a judge-free, safe space. If they want to book a call with me, it's a half-hour free call. They can do that on my website. And just so that, they can talk about their psychic experiences, I can give them a few exercises to show them what it would be like to develop their ability if they just want like a little taste of it. And then, of course, I can ask any question or answer any questions they might have, because, it is a lot. And there's mentors for everything, playing an instrument and, life coaches and everything. So I'm like, why is there none for this? So yeah,
life coaches, business coaches.
Yes.
Yeah, you name it. There's pretty much a coach for everything if you look for them.
Yes.
Yep. And even the best normally have their own coaches. So I don't think anybody that's still growing and still learning doesn't have a coach of some sort.
That's true. Yep.
So I think that's wonderful. And so, yeah, and you have your 90-day program and you're in the group. So definitely make sure if you have any kind of workshop or those, make sure you post in the group.
Okay.
And we will also post in the comments for the best way for people to contact you.
Okay, great.
and
And
everything.
actually, I just added two. So, in addition to my 90-day program, I also now have a self-study course, and it's a lot less extensive. And it would be for someone who wants like a little taste to see what it would be like so that they can make a good decision to see if they actually want to put the 90 days in. So, I offer that. That's on my website. And then I also now offer a practice circle. And that's for people who might have already developed their abilities and just need someone to practice on. So I bring in people that know they're practicing. So the pressure's off and they're able to do a reading for free, and they can do whatever they want to practice. And that's a bi-weekly call that we do. And there's a membership option for that as well. And then also have my guidance if they have any questions on developing their abilities. So that's, since I've talked to you last, is there a couple more things I've added
You've
on?
added you've added quite a bit since we've talked last, but that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, and you mentioned the pressure free, but I think we pretty much all put that pressure on ourselves. That's normally where the pressure comes from, is us
That's
doing it to
true.
ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll try to help them with that as well. But that's a whole nother process for some people. I get it.
that's amazing. So since we're coming up on the holidays, would you like to share with everybody what you have planned for the holidays?
Sure. So Christmas Eve is actually bigger of a holiday in my family than Christmas Day. My mom's side of the family, which is Italian and very like, they like to eat and they're very loud. So someone dresses up
And
as
they talk
Santa.
with their hands.
Yes, just like I am. Yes. So someone dresses up as Santa every year. And no matter how old you are, you get on Santa's lap, you receive a present, you get your picture taken. And it's a huge to do. There's presents everywhere, wrapping papers everywhere. And the little kids just like go nuts over it. And I've been doing that since I was born. And I'm sure it went back way before I was born. So that's just a tradition that we have every year. That's so much fun.
That is awesome. That's a fun tradition too. One that, because you get the ones that say, "Oh, you're too old." It's like, no, you're never too old.
Yeah, never
I'm,
too old.
I'm glad you keep that going. Well, thank you for joining us today. I will make sure everyone knows how to get a hold of you in the comments. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays, whatever that is to you. I know everybody's different, but for me, it's a Merry Christmas.
Yes.
So
All
I
right.
hope you have
Thank you
one
so
too.
much for having me. I really appreciate it. And happy holidays to everyone as well.
Thank you. And I look forward to checking out some of those because I know I already did your other quiz. I'll have to look at your other ones, but I'll
All right,
definitely be
cool.
looking into that.
All
So
right. Yes,
thank
I
you for
do have
joining us.
another one. I'll send you. I do have another quiz to send. So I will send you that after this.
Send me that too, because
Okay.
I am curious to
Great.
see what happens. But thank you for joining us, and everyone, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you next time.